There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the panel. Goodness gracious, right. Let's just make sure that you locked on Instagram are live as well. There you are. Okay, so welcome. We are back. I didn't put any adverts out today. I didn't tell anybody that we're coming on, but you know where we are anyway. How are you? I want to welcome Debbie, who is our guest co-host today. Hi, Debbie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Do you want to tell everybody what you do?
Yeah, so I am a speaker coach. So I work with women who are, I call it quietly brilliant. So they've done what they need to do. They've got fantastic businesses, but they're not very well known. They're not very well positioned in their industry. So I help people to get positioned, get branded, not necessarily speaking on a stage. Sometimes can be speaking up in a boardroom, can be just speaking at a networking event, but really just being able to say who they are and be recognized for what they've done, because I think women are very overlooked.
Amazing. Well, welcome. It's great to have you here. And we're going to send love to everybody else. Rochelle, she's in Birmingham today, and everybody else, wherever you are, we are thinking of you. Okay, let's start this. Cleaning up the online world.
I don't think we've got long enough.
No. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to go with Debbie first. I'm going to give Debbie this you've never been on before. So
no.
This is like a first, your first time. When I told you that this is what we're going to talk about, what did you think? What were your thoughts on it?
So my first thoughts were, what do we mean with cleaning up the online space? Like, is it for ourselves? Is it for the trolls? Is it for like authenticity? I'm very big on being the real you. And so that's what intrigued me with this was that I do see a lot of people hiding behind what you feel like you should look like, what you feel like you should sound like. I particularly have a little bit of some of the social media channels I look at first thing in the morning. I feel like I need to kill myself before I've drunk my tea because I haven't achieved what I should have achieved. I haven't made 10 million. And if I give them 10 million, they're going to make me 10 million. And it's like, it's exhausting, right? It is so exhausting. And so I'm very much about being the real you, the very authentic you. Not people pleasing, not bending yourself out of shape to be something for somebody. And I see so much of it where people are not very authentic online. So I was intrigued on the topic to see if that was somewhere that you were going, or whether we were just talking about I'm a celeb, with the trolls.
Do you know what? I think it's all of the above. And I think it's very subjective to how you see the online space. Naomi, what were your thoughts when I suggested this topic?
Exactly that. so I think my perspective, and again, it's probably my perspective because it's how I'm feeling and what I'm seeing, is like, similar to what Debbie sort of said there about clearing out the filth, the lies, the smokes and mirrors, all of that sort of thing, and showing
filth is such a powerful word. I love that. Clearing up the filth. I'm taking that.
It's a good word, isn't it? My local coffee shop sell filthy sandwiches.
Oh, okay.
And I just think I know it's such a great filthy, because it does feel like there's a lot of filth around, and it's and I think if I look at the last few months, how I have stepped back, and it might not look like I have because I'm still visible online and everything else, but I've made a very conscious effort and a very intentional decision to step away from certain things, certain circles, certain, whatever it might be, because it's not a place that I want to spend and use my valuable energy. So yeah, I think I perceived it as how I'm feeling about the online space. And mirror what Debbie said there. I actually, funny enough, I put a post up yesterday and basically saying, look, for anyone who is feeling like, their life is shit because all they're seeing is the 6, 7 figure, 8 figure, the polished photo shoots. This is real life, juggling a business, a 92-year-old parent who's had another suspected stroke, juggling all these different things. Can we just stop stop with all this like
Not the
filth.
pressure. I think it's a pressure that you put, and I feel for you with the 92-year-old. I have a mother who's in urgent care last night. So literally we're in the process of medically curing her this week of something that's not, I won't go into lots of detail, but you know, she was screaming her head off in A&E last night. Now I'm not going to post that she's
No.
screaming her head off in A&E, but that is part of my life. And so when I was saying to you before we came on that I have been a lot more quiet in terms of like networking and stuff this year, is because I've had other stuff going on in my life. And so I don't want to use that as so I've noticed that there is a lot of online coaches that use their frailty, if you like, or they're using this, or, you know, this is happening with my family. And I did put one message out. I think it was on her birthday and she was in hospital, and I was so uncomfortable with it. So uncomfortable. And I was just like, I feel like I'm monetizing something that's going on in my life. What I was trying to do was share the reality of like, yes, you are juggling it. You know, I have family, like, honestly, I would have had a medical year this year that EastEnders would not write. They would not accept that as a real life script. They were like, not possible for that to happen. It has.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I go into urgent care last night and I swear they know my name. I think I've just been in there so many times this year. And I know all the parking spaces and stuff like that. But, you know, the reality is that is what's happening with us. You know, we are women of a certain generation. I think I'm a little bit older than you guys, but we are that sandwich generation. We've got a family, we've got elderly parents. We're trying to run businesses at the same time. And the intensity of that and the BS that I see online of going, come on, guys, we know who's struggling. We know that you're using this stuff to leverage. Just stop it. You know, just stop it and own up and go, it is tough to juggle everything. You know, it is tough. And we do it and we're spectacular. And that kind of, I suppose, goes back to the quietly brilliant that I was talking about earlier on, is that we do it and we don't even make a fuss about it. Imagine if a guy did what we did, you know, run the family, run the business, done the stuff. Oh my God, there'd be a billboard in Times Square with it on. We have cured world famine, and then we'll be like, we had quite a good day today. We just did this, as such. So
interesting. So I'll tell you why I've decided to talk about this, because so as somebody who's come from corporate before going into business, and also been really senior in corporate, I've seen behaviors where in some aspects I hear a lot of whinging. So there's a lot of whinging going on, and a lot of need to have what's the word? To have areas of leniency, and you know, whether it's that, you know, okay, so I didn't do a good job, but you still should still pay me, or you know, I still have a business, or, you know, you should still give me a chance. And it started getting me thinking that I recognize you from the corporate space where you wouldn't get up and do the job, and you just want it to flow along, be very flowy and get the work done. And I'm okay with that because I'm a bit flowy as well. But the truth of the matter is, doing a good job is what requires to have a job, own a business, do anything in life. And then I started seeing the whole chaoticness of complaining online and calling out people and trying to bring people down. And you know, I remember last year somebody who was, you know, sort of like gaining a lot of momentum in their business, commented something saying, oh, you know, it's funny how everybody all of a sudden has become this, and they commented about this particular speciality that people were going into, and I was fuming. And I'll tell you why I was fuming, because I was like, if I was the person who was interested in this particular area and I didn't have any confidence, and I had just started to make my way in the online world to just try and make an extra couple of quid, and somebody who was beginning to become that prominent posted that, I would literally put all tools down and never do my business again. It's almost as if people are going, do you know what? I'm going to say what I want. It's freedom of speech. I'm going to bring people down. I'm going to ruin people's businesses. I know someone who has been so bad-mouthed in the industry, and I said this to somebody the other day. This person has got children, they've got children. At the end of the day, they may not be good at what they do. Let their clients deal with them accordingly. You don't need to go out there and talk about this person, because at the end of the day, this woman has got to feed her children. Now, somebody could turn around and go, well, she should have thought about that before she did whatever she did. I get that. But when did women stop being nice to each other? When did women...
Oh, ground zero. Ground zero. We are not nice to each other. We are like
but we're more educated now, Debbie. We're more educated now and stuff. And we keep on... Do we just mean be nice, be kind when it comes to us? Or, you know, and that's what it seems like. It's like, oh, I'm Victoria. Please be kind to me. Please be considerate to me. But you know what? I hate that Naomi and da 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 and da 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 da. And she's done this and she's done that. Like, at what point do we?
What Naomi?
You know.
Oh,
so
no.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I can cope with it.
Yeah. So it became quite an emotive thing for me. And the thing is, the reason why I don't talk about a lot of stuff, I see that as a sign of maturity. I see that as a sign of awareness. Now, it could be to my detriment, because maybe I'm not that as visible as some people, but I don't believe in calling somebody out in public. Like, I promise you this, anybody who's doing that, you don't feel happy afterwards. You never will. Like, you've done it, and the gratification is so instant and so short-lived that you're going to go and do something else to make sure that people understand how pissed off you are at this person. So anyway, so there's all that going on top of delivering when you can't deliver, you know, making promises that you can't you can't deliver, and also the fact that this is my last one, and I'll ask you guys questions. My last one is the way women, especially, because this is predominantly a female-led industry in the space that we are. But there's also the men as well. Don't worry, men and stuff. I'm going to say talk to you as well. But where women clients lose their voices because they're too scared to call out the teachers. They're too scared to call out. I've had people say to me, you know, I'm completely traumatized by this experience, but I won't say anything because I don't want to be blacklisted. I don't want to come across as somebody who's bitter or as somebody who's done this and stuff. And the sad thing is, like, a lot of people know this, so they become even meaner, and there's no need for it. At 52 years old, if you are being mean, ask me and I'll tell you. I'll tell you whether you are being mean, yes or no. I don't give a toss personally and stuff. It's like, I'm too old for it. And I tell you what, the reason why I've kind of not gone to that many events this year is because I'm like, I used to lead hundreds of people in corporate. I'm better than this. I don't need to sit here and, okay, maybe business is not my forte and I'm learning it as I'm going along. But I tell you what, I'm way better than all this nonsense of slagging each other off and trying to get on top of each other or trying to sell your soul to be seen. I'm not doing it. Anyway, what should we tackle?
Victoria for president.
I know.
I don't understand it. I feel as if it's the same template, just reused in different spaces. And
I think it comes down to somebody being very insecure. So, for example, if you're looking at somebody who is bad mouthing another competitor or another coach, it really just comes down to insecurity. Because if they were very secure in where they sit, and again, you know, I'm a little bit definitely older than you're 52, but I think we get to a point in our life where we don't really want to pick up everyone else's problems. I know in my life I've been the fixer, the person who had to get involved and had to, you know, fix other people's problems and help them and all that sort of stuff, normally to the detriment of yourself and your own time and your own energy and your own important people. But I do think that a lot of the time when people are criticizing other people is because they're trying to climb above. They're trying to get on the back of that person to say, look at me, I'm a better option, you know, buy from me, don't buy from that person over there because, you know, the seams are not right or something's not right in their business. So instead of being secure enough to say, actually, this is what I do, this is what I'm brilliant at, this is what I'm great at, and this is what I can do for you. And I think of branding in how you make people feel when they walk away from you. So if your brand is that someone walks away from you and they're inspired and you've changed their life a tiny little bit and they've all of a sudden can see all these different possibilities, then you're more likely to buy from that person who makes, rather than the person who, when you walk away, makes you want to just go, oh my God, that was awful, horrendous. I feel so bad. And I feel like I've colluded in this conversation that I didn't ever really want to be part of. And so I think it comes down to like confidence and credibility. And online, it's not about how many followers you've got. It used to be, it's changed. I've been watching Gary Vee this morning. But that's what they're saying. It's not anymore about your following. It's about who's interested in what you've got to say. And so sometimes these people that are, I'm going to be generous, sometimes these people who are criticizing other people and bad-mouthing people are people who just got lost somewhere along the way and they don't know how to get back to where they were or where they want to be. And so they think if they bring everyone down, they don't have to try so hard.
Naomi, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, everything Debbie said there is just so, I'm like nodding along. Because I agree. I think that there is so much competition. People are scared of their own, maybe not scared, not confident in their own delivery ability, what they are offering, that there's this kind of like treading on others. And, the last few years, I've almost joked about it and said, honestly, if I had that attitude, my business my revenue would be astronomical. However, I come back to something that my dad taught me from a really young age, and it still sits in my head every night when I go to bed. And he always used to say, make sure that when you put your head on that pillow at night, you can sleep with what you have done throughout that day.
Amen.
And
I love that.
I look at the over promising and the under delivery that I have experienced myself this year, and what I give my clients, and the contrast is, ridiculous. And I know that every night when I go to bed, I sleep well, because I know that, regardless of what's going on, the shitstorm, the everything that's being navigated, everything else, I know that I do an exceptional job at everything that I do. I'm not perfect. I don't wish to be. Are my systems a little bit rocky? Yes. But do I over deliver with my clients? 100%. And I think, sadly, what I have seen this year is that there is too much bare minimum out there. And it's no wonder that we are now in what they're calling a trust, what's the word I'm looking for? Menopause, sorry. You're in a trust recession.
Right.
Because people have been overpromised to. And listen, I know we talk about it in the online space. I very much doubt it's not like it in the world in general. I just think the online space is so exposed, not even visible. It's so exposed. I mean, somebody only has to put a comment up or comment on you, or and I saw it just 2 weeks ago where somebody put up a post and said, hey, I'm thinking about going to this event. I want to know your honest thoughts. Oh my God. I mean, literally, I was like,
really?
And the comments underneath and everything else. But listen, are people being honest? However, again, one person's experience is different to somebody else's. Somebody messaged me the other day. They said, oh my God, I've seen you're working with this coach. Can I ask you? And I said, you can absolutely ask me what my experience is. Am I going to recommend that coach? No. I do not recommend programs anymore, coaches anymore, courses anymore, because my experience is different to yours.
Yeah.
And I see so many people slagging off programs, coaches, and I know some of these people, and I know that they're not doing the work. They think
that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Like 80% don't actually do the work. I had a speaker membership last year, and it was a very small one. It was very low key, and all the opportunities that I had to go on podcasts, to get in magazines, all the stuff that I found and went and sourced myself for free, I put in the group, and nobody did anything.
Yeah.
Nobody did anything. And what I used to do, this is really sneaky. So what I used to do was record the session when we had the session, and everybody would be like, "Oh, is it being recorded?" I'll do the recording. And then one week I forgot to remove the password. So normally I just go and remove the password. And one week I forgot, and no one asked me for the password. So the next week I did the same thing, sent it out without the password, and no one asked me for the password. So I never removed the password. So I know exactly who was watching and who wasn't watching. But in terms of like, there's very much a thing about being in that space. And I think I had a little bit of this myself. Like, I don't know, anyone who knows me, when I first started speaking, I was like, who's going to listen to Debbie from Swindon? I had a proper cheeky monkey on my shoulder, imposter syndrome. And I would be like, who's going to listen to Debbie from Swindon? I'm just this middle-aged woman, felt like a little country mouse that had gone up to London and refused some speaking gigs. And I kind of had that going, even to the point of when I did my TED, even when I did the TEDx, I came off the stage and in the hotel the next day was like, could I call myself a speaker now? I had this kind of like, and then I was like, Deb, what else do you want? You know, what else do you want to be able to validate yourself, to be able to go, I'm actually in that identity of the person that I want to be. But I think there's a lot of people that aren't sitting, they're waiting for something to happen. They're waiting for, and a lot of programs do, they're waiting to be picked. They're waiting for someone to see something special in them. They're waiting for someone to recognize them. So when the people say that, they go and buy those courses because that person's seen something in me and they're going to make me be that person. But the reality is they have to like step into the identity of the person they want to be, and they don't feel ready. And I saw that this year when I'm organising a TEDx event here in Swindon next year, and there was a couple of people that had been asked to speak by the licensee, and they didn't accept it. Well, I know people who've applied 300 times for a TEDx, so for them, oh my god! But these people were like, "Oh, I'm not ready for it."
Yeah, let me just go back to that's really relevant, Debbie, and stuff. And it's interesting how we're moving around, and I'm loving the dance around the different experiences that we're having. I just want to finish with Naomi as well and stuff, because you were talking about sort of like the opinion of events and stuff, and sort of like the fact that you decided not to recommend anyone anymore. It's like, this is my experience, but go try it out for yourself. I'm just wondering, what's been the reaction to that and stuff? Have people wanted more from you when you're saying, do you know what, I'm not going to say yes or no? What's been the reaction to that?
Yeah, it's really interesting you should ask that, because actually it's literally just happened in the last 2 days. And I left this person a voice note and I said, this is my experience, but listen, I'm not recommending. And they actually said back to me, do you know what? So like almost a little bit shocked, like that I would be so kind of level about it and say, I'm not recommending, I'm not this. And they actually kind of said, yeah, you know what, you're right. Everybody's experience is different of something. And I have learnt my lesson, because I've been in coaching programs where I've been excelling, and, everybody obviously sees you in that program as the person that they're kind of like tagging, recommending, oh, watch this person, what they're doing, which is obviously very flattering and lovely when you're excelling in something. But I also know, having been in programs, that sometimes that can make you feel like, what am I doing wrong? Now, sometimes it is because you're not taking the action, but the reception from when I have said that to people, Vic, has been really, really positive. Like, actually, as in, really admire you for being honest. I'm not saying, I'm never slagging off. I'm never saying, oh my God, I wouldn't do it again, even if it's a program that I didn't get my investment back from. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know what, my experience was, or whatever. However, you know what? Everybody has different experiences. And something I always say is, do your own research. Whenever I join a new program, whenever I join a new coach, and the coaches probably don't know I do this, but I go through their testimonials online. I find at least 3 people that have worked with them at some point. And I voice note those 3 people, and I say to them, I want to know, if you don't mind, your experience of working in this program, on this course, with this coach. And I don't take it as gospel. I take it as giving me some data and information to make my own informed decision. Because we've all seen it, where you go to an event and of course they put their top, their top attendees, their top mentees, on a panel, and you're hearing them talk. And then what you discover is that actually that's 1% of that program. And probably, I remember my first coaching program in 2019. To make that program look incredible, what those people were doing, those coaches were doing, was investing all their time in the top 1% to get like 5 key people getting incredible results. All of us underneath, we were just left to like kind of fend for ourselves. So sorry, that was a very long answer, Victoria, but basically people appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, it's perfect. So let me tell you, I've got my own notes here.
Of course you would.
So the first thing I want to talk about is I recognize those 1% coming up on a panel and talking. I did. It's really funny, actually. I did, and again, I still, my heart glows still when I see these people, and not because they necessarily did a good job, but because I still hugely use their tools and stuff, and still appreciate the work that they've done. However, when I left, they never asked me my opinion. And I think that sometimes people are scared to find out what you're going to say about them. So they only go and get the testimonials from the people that will give them glowing testimonials. And then anybody else who doesn't give you a good testimonial comes across as a hater, a whinger, and stuff, somebody who didn't do the work, blah, blah, blah. That's the first thing. Debbie said something about the fact about sort of like, people sort of like going for good. I think you said something about going for people who get the testimonials right and stuff, and then people go towards the people who get the better testimonials. I want to contradict that and say, I believe that people are so desperate right now. People are so desperate to make money that if they see that you can help them to get to where they want to get to, it doesn't matter what people put against you. Some people just put blinders and they just, it's like yeah. And to be honest with you, in a way I'm a bit like that, where I'm like, I want to experience your bad behavior for myself. I'm one of these people where it's like, you can tell me anything about somebody, unless I see it myself, I'm taking what you said.
To a certain extent, that's a nice way. I've kind of been like, if someone wants to say something about somebody, if they've not done any harm to me, then I used to wait until they did some harm to me, I suppose. Like, I would wait for it. But it was, what I was saying earlier on is like, when they come out with the lines of, I see something in you, I'm discovering you, I'm picked. A lot of people will go, okay, they've seen something special in me. I'm still going to buy from this person because you're not special and I'm the one that they've picked. I'm special. It's kind of this hero thing that come in, and I've seen it when I've been working with big coaches. I've had my own coaching programs, obviously, but I've seen it where they target the people who are more likely to buy by using that type of language. And that it becomes a little bit like that. They're selling them a dream, and it's usually selling a dream to a person who is a personality that actually isn't going to do the work, that wants the big picture, that wants the glory, wants all the glitz, wants what I call them a diamond personality. They're usually somebody who's a diamond personality who doesn't want to do the nitty gritty. They're not good at doing that type of stuff. And so they probably need to do that nitty gritty to be good, to kind of get that action, get the attraction to whatever they're doing. So it's not mis-selling, but they're selling them the dream, the big picture.
Yeah. So let me just finish what I was saying, because I've got a few points there. So there's that bit. There's all that bit where people are going, I'm going to turn a blind eye and I'm going to still focus on my desperation. And I think this is it. It's focusing on lack. That's what I call it in my language. It's focusing on lack. It's like, oh, if I don't follow this person, if I don't work with this person, I'm not going to make it. I promise you, do your homework. You'll find that there's some really good, low-key people who can really help you to get to your results and stuff. Like, don't always go for the shiny objects. And then the next thing is, I know somebody, actually, I'll mention her name, Charlie Day. Charlie was going to go to, I think it was last year, she went to Grant Cardone. And she said to people, I'm going to go to Grant Cardone. She got so much insult. For going to this guy because of people's perception of the guy. It was again, half the people that commented, no, I would say 98% of the people couldn't even afford to go to any of his events, let alone have met him to have an opinion. All you see is the persona that you see on the thing. And again, I go back to, and somebody will say, well, he's a billionaire, so it won't impact him. I promise you, you can lose everything like that. Like, it's like, don't assume that just because you've made millions or multi-millions or billions, that you can't lose it. There's several stories of people losing that. This guy has got children. Before you want to sort of like start slagging people off and stuff, it's like, get your facts right. Like, is it true? And even if it is true, I promise you, you wouldn't be saying it online. And then lastly, I was listening to Stephen Bartlett yesterday, and you know, I'm hosting an in-person event on the 29th of January, and it's sort of Black Friday offer, which is coming out. And I talk about, and in there, we're going to be talking about risks and issues, everything around project managing your life and everything else moving forward. And it's really funny because he talks about risks and reputational risks. He talked about being on a flight, and he told his team that he was sat next to the guy that talks about food, like I can't remember the.
Oh, Victoria has frozen.
Frozen.
Come back to us, Victoria.
I know, she's frozen. Like, I want to know who the guy is now. I'm like, what guy?
Oh,
Yeah,
Debbie, we might need to pad this out.
We might have to. I love Stephen Bartlett, actually. I do listen to all of his podcasts, so I'm intrigued to see what one it is that she's with. I'm very road phobic because I had a big car accident like 16 years ago. So for me, if I can listen to a podcast in the car, it distracts me massively from everyone who's trying to kill me on the roads. And so I don't have the ability to sit still and listen to a podcast. It has to be a second.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? We can hear you. Back in the room. I feel like a magician.
You all froze, and then all that was weird.
Oh, we were okay. You froze.
I can hear you all. I can hear you all. I can hear you. Right, I've moved over to my hotspot. I don't know what's going on. Last week we had a power cut and stuff. So
yes, and I got cut off by my internet provider.
So let's see. So I think it's called Man versus Food. Man versus Food. The guy who Man versus Food. Right. So his team are saying to Steve, because at the time he hosted like a food show, and they're like, go and ask him what his favorite sandwich is. Right. So then Steve goes over, he's on a flight, and he goes over and he goes, oh, excuse me. And as soon as this guy goes to me, he goes, not now, and shoos Stephen away.
Rude.
Steve walks away and he's like, I'm mortified. He goes, I'm not the most outgoing person anyway. I mean, I've met Steve. He's quite socially awkward and stuff, unless he's talking about business. And he goes, I just sort of like cowl down in my seat and stuff. He goes, but then what happens? A few years later, I create this podcast. It goes viral, you know, and then he talks about this story with one of his guests. And the truth of the matter is, and also he said, but he also had to go back and tell 400 staff members that this guy was rude, was intolerant, was in a bad mood, blah, blah, blah. Somebody wrote and told this guy that this is what your reputation is right now. And he rang Steve to apologize. And Steve was like, I'm not trying to sort of like diss you. He goes, but that's what I saw. Here's the thing. For anybody out there who is behaving badly in the online space, your reputation precedes you. Your reputation precedes you. As quickly as you've gone like that, it can go down and stuff. Like your house is not built on stones. It's not. It's built on sand, and all it takes is one big wave to wash you away. So just be careful that just because there are not regulations in the online space yet, and I say yet because I reckon it's coming, it's not licensed to go do what you want to do. Anyway, let me ask another question. So what can we do? Like if we had like three if we had like three things that we could do to make things better in the online space, what would they be? Debbie?
Oh, you put me on the spot now. Three things. One magic one. So I practice with my speaking, if I'm coaching people on a TED talk or anything, I very much practice a do no harm policy. So a lot of people want to tell their stories and bring a third party into it. So I'm always
Right.
like, if it goes viral, what's that other person going to be? You know, because it's not always their story. So that's the first thing, is I think everyone should practice do no harm. At the end of the day, if you're telling your story and there's some harm to you, that's your story. If you're doing something and it's going to implement somebody else, whether it be your children have been abused by the father, or I actually had somebody who was like, well, my girlfriend claimed to be raped 19 years ago. Can I bring that in? And I was like, no, because she's not part of this conversation. Poor woman's
No.
getting on with her life, and all of a sudden a million people see your TED talk. And it's, so I'm very much about do no harm, be the real you, stop messing around, stop trying to be something that you think you need to be, stop trying to like take pictures and have this fake life. I know of people that have been great coaches and built great businesses and have shown their wealth, and it's all rented. You know, they're not the real thing. They're not authentic. They're living in the corner of a mansion. They're driving a hire car. You know, they can't pay their kids' school fees. They're a property person who doesn't even own a property type thing. Be authentic. Be the real you, because it will show up eventually. And then the third one would be don't take it so seriously, right? Real life is out there. You know, we all have got a proper 3D life. This is your shop window. But actually, if I had a proper shop, I put some beautiful stuff in the window, but the ambience would be when you come in my door and you come into my shop, and how I make you feel and the experience that you have in your shop is what is going to live with you forever. So if I make that more welcoming, I'm going to get my shop window to entice you in. But if you come in and I welcome you, and I had a hairdressing salon, I used to give them hot chocolate with marshmallows. I always made sure that I had new magazines. And some of the ladies that come in never got any pampering at home, and they would love it. They'd come in and they'd have marshmallows and hot chocolate and brand new magazines, and they felt like they were part of the family. So I think if you can be that real person, then no one's going to get a shock when they start working with you. Then no one's going to get a shock. People want to work with me. I am not fluffy. I'm definitely not fluffy. I'm very straightforward. I'm very results driven. I'm not going to pretend to be anything else, because then I'll get clients who don't match up with me.
Thank you so much. It's really good. Naomi.
Oh, well, thank you for going to Debbie first, because that gave me time to write my 3 down.
That's mean.
They're very similar. So the first one I put was lead by example. I think that, you know, that Tony Robbins saying, be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. And it's something I do with inside my programs with my clients. And again, you know what, if you want to come and work with me because you see the results that my clients get and how I deliver. So the first one is definitely lead by example. Second one is squash bad behavior. So I've had this recently where people have DM'd me screenshots of other things going on out there. And instead of like ignoring it, which I kind of want to, or instead of getting involved in it, I've actually literally put it back and gone, you know what? I'm not interested in what's going on out there. I'm not interested in the screenshots or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So squash the bad behavior, because then what that does, that puts a mirror up to the person or the people who are doing the bad behavior. Whilst it might not get them to stop, it certainly might get them to kind of like take a little bit of a deep look. And then the third one is stay in your own lane. And this is absolutely, maybe not the first half of this year, I didn't do this, but I think since around June, I have felt a massive shift in myself in lots of different aspects. And I've just been like, do you know what? I've got my head down. I know the direction I'm going. And do you know what? I don't want the distraction anymore. I don't want it's, you know, I went to a bloody all-girl convent school. I've been used to that environment of, you know, and I worked predominantly in my corporate career, 20 years in, you know, global cosmetics and everything else, predominantly female, predominantly people stepping on each other to get to the next rank, to push you down so that they did well. And you know what? 50 this year, I just don't want it in my life anymore. So stay in my own lane. Yes, I'm not going to get involved in bad behavior. I'm going to point it out to people. But you know what? I don't have the time or the energy. I'd rather refocus that into my clients, my programs, whatever else I'm doing.
You see, and thanks, Naomi. It's like everything you guys have said, so relevant. So for me, I'd say, and I just want to go to the bit where people are screenshotting stuff and sharing it everywhere else. By the way, if you're doing stuff and you think nobody's seeing it, I promise you, I can guarantee you that people are seeing it. That's the first thing. I always say to the people that share stuff, I go, what's your intention? What are you hoping this will do? Like, what is it that you're expecting me to do? Or what's the response you're expecting? Because you're just as bad sharing it as the person who's doing the talking and everything else, because you're expecting some sort of drama. Naomi talks about, energy and stuff. It's like if you're focusing your energy on being mean to everybody else, or being what's the word, selectively mean and chasing the chaos, imagine how much good you can do on the earth. I don't want people to be perfect. I think the world would be boring if you're perfect. I think the world would be boring if everybody was a goody two shoes and what have you. But use your discernment and be the most interesting person in the room without having to be cruel and chaotic. So I also want to say, and this isn't the right word, so maybe you guys will know the right word, but admitting that you are wrong is one of your greatest currencies at the moment, because everybody can turn around. Everybody can say, do you know what? Okay, I messed up. This was a behavior that didn't serve me. I'm going to change. What I'm seeing is people who are defending their honor to the point where they'd rather die on the sword. And I'm like, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go and just do better. You don't need to defend everything that's coming up at the moment. Like, just let it go. And that's why a lot of people have had second chances. I mean, Tony Robbins has had stuff written about him. I can go on for ages and stuff, but the fact of the matter is, just admit that, okay, fair enough, I screwed up, and just do better. You don't even need to admit it, just do better. Like, people will notice that you're making changes without you even having to say something. So I'd say owning up is really
be human, isn't it? Be human.
Yeah, but also I want to say this as well. I don't know what that says, but I also want to say, if understand. So, what's his name? John DiMartini said this to me once, and I almost hit him. I went to him and I was whinging. I was like, "Oh God, and so and so's done this, and so and so's done that," and oh God, and he said, "So where in your life are you being that person?" I was like, "What do you mean? Me? What do you mean?" And he was like, because somewhere in your life you have done something. And there was a woman, funnily enough, who was, she'd had a really bad sexual experience. And she was like, "Are you saying that I did this to someone else? Because I know that I didn't do it." He went, "No." He goes, "But where in your life has somebody else felt like they've been taken advantage of by you?" And it's not saying tit for tat. It's just realizing that we mirror the behaviors that come towards us. And once we become emotionally intelligent to be able to realize that mirror, we can actually do better ourselves and attract better people into our lives, which is not needing to be seen everywhere, which is what I've done this year, which is just taking a step back and just being in better spaces, and rather be no space than rather be in a space that doesn't serve me. Then we can just start to make this world a bit better, one person at a time. Ladies, thank you so much. Debbie, thanks so much for being a guest. Naomi, as always, thank you so much. We will see you next week. I know we've definitely got another interesting topic next week. I can't remember, but we'll tell you about it next week. We'll speak to you soon. Take care. Have an amazing day. God bless. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.